This is StarTalk Sports Edition. I got Gary O'Reilly with me. Gary.
Hey, Neil.
Yeah, Gary, you're going to take us someplace.
Yes.
Let me dredge my memories from a couple pre-COVID. I think this was.
Yeah. Just rewind 2 years.
Was there a world before COVID? Did the world exist?
It feels like a lifetime ago, but only 2 years ago. So back in February 2020, we released a show called Stadiums of the Future. Now, it's interesting because the stadium we picked hadn't been constructed yet. It was still in the process of finding itself. Now, that stadium is the SoFi Stadium, and that will be the venue for this year's big game, the NFL's big game, the 56th time it's taken place. And we're not allowed to say the S word, they get all upset. Now, the thing is, if you remember, Neil, we actually sent you there in a hard hat and a high-vis vest to go and find out what it was like to see this thing emerge and what the logistical challenges were and how it came to be and the people that were behind bringing it. This is a very StarTalkian approach to sports and a stadium because there's no athletes, there's no head coaches, there's no TV dramas, there's just the guys and the girls that bring this thing to fruition. So if you remember, the SoFi has this gigantic transparent roof, and it doesn't have that bigger profile out of the ground because it's been sunken, because it is directly underneath the flight path to LAX. So go on, Neil, give me a thought of what it was like to walk into that arena as it was being constructed.
Yeah, I remember that. First, there was the bit of pride when you speak to the engineers for what it is they were designing for it. What kind of technologies would enable and empower not only future teams who play there, but future visitors. So it was a delight. I was geeking out basically, and I'd forgotten that yes, this stadium is sunken into the ground, kind of like I think the Rose Bowl is partly underground as well in Pasadena, if memory serves, and so that gives it a much lower profile on the horizon. Otherwise, it just kind of sticks out, like a sore thumb. Yeah. But the fact that it has a lower profile, and you're right, it's on the takeoff and landing path of LAX. So they were, I was going to say they were considerate for this. No, that's not just being considerate. That's being safe. All right. There's probably some legal limits surrounding that as well. But just to look at how they were attempting to future-proof this stadium. And I was there not knowing that it would one day carry the big game. What do you mean, the bowl that is super, that game? So I was delighted, and I asked, I think, all the right questions, and we had a good time.
As well as sending you out into the great wild of the SoFi Stadium, we had a guest, and this guest is from IBM Sports. He's the chief infrastructure architect at IBM Sports, a guy called Ben Brillat, and he was involved in the construction of the Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta. If you know the Atlanta Dome, it has this sort of tessellated lotus flower roof that opens up. It's magnificent. And he explained to us to do this, and the same with the SoFi, you have to be thinking 5, 10, maybe even 15 years advance for technologies that are going to emerge, but that you are able to adapt to. Otherwise, you've got a stadium that doesn't work. I mean, there are stadiums now that are probably being constructed in the early 2000s that, as far as technologies that we have now in 2022, is more or less obsolete. They're out of date.
So Gary, there are two challenges there. So one of them is, you want to future-proof everything you do in all construction. Mm-hmm. But future-proofing involves projecting, and the scientific word for that is extrapolating. When data are informing your future expectations, it's called extrapolating. So you have a plot of the way things are trending, and you say, no, let me continue the slope of that line, of these parameters that I've plotted, and go into the future and have this thing I'm building today be able to accommodate this growth curve. That works to a point. The problem occurs. And you're right, Gary, it's typically a 15-year horizon. People can be good if you invest brain energy, projecting 5 to 10 years out. 15 years, what begins to happen. You get discoveries and inventions that come out of left field or come in from the end zone, whatever
Whichever
sports
works.
reference, whichever reference you're comfortable with. But it comes from a different place. It comes from a place that's not even on the plot, on the chart that you were using to make those predictions. And those are game changers for everything. So, I don't know what a good example would that be. Okay, here's one. How are you going to, this is not a big challenge because we had accommodated it, but it's an example. You want a future kitchen and you say, well, what kind of modern stoves are we going to have? Okay, they might be electric. So let me put the stove near a power plug. That'll future-proof it. Okay, maybe there's some other electricity that needs to go. Let me make a conduit there. And you do all of this. And then a microwave oven shows up. Okay, who ordered that? That's not an extrapolation of a modern oven that involves heat and flames or coils. It's a whole other technology. So where do you put that? So modern kitchens, of course, are designed to fit those comfortably and nicely. That was not much of a stretch as far as construction goes, but you can imagine something that would be completely transformative, that would make SoFi Stadium look like something like Wrigley Field.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, they will want to leave intentional space to accommodate anything new and the hardware that needs to be in place for that new technology to be productive. I mean, the other thing they did was they earthquake-proof, because it's downtown LA and things shake and wobble on occasion.
Shake and bake, yeah.
Yeah, they earthquake-proof the whole stadium. Now, this is a big deal. This is a $4 billion, beginning with a B, billion-dollar project. I mean, it is an entertainment palace.
But just to be clear, I'm an astrophysicist. You don't have to extra explain the number billion to me.
No. It's just in case people don't understand my version of English and they think I'm saying 4 million and it's actually billion. So it's so interesting. And if I remember rightly, we also then take that, as you say, extrapolate what might be coming along before we've quite got there, but using what we know now. We thought maybe augmented displays for people in stadiums could be something in the future. So if you imagine you've decided you want to be a defensive end, you could end up having a sensory experience that feels like hitting a quarterback.
Yeah, or before you get there, just imagine you buy a stadium experience from the NFL or from the home team or from SoFi Stadium, and they'll sell you the ticket at the 50-yard line 20 rows up. And then you go into your augmented reality room in your home and you experience the entire game from that seat.
Wow. Big ticket price.
Then you don't even have to go to the game and then take that up a notch, okay? So now you're saying, why be in the stadium at all? Why not be on the field? And you could be sort of an avatar on the field as players are running by you. Because if you have sensors that monitor everything about all the players, which IBM currently does, or has the power to do, if you do that, and I know where all the players are, I know what their heartbeats are, because the coaches want to know that. When are you going to bring them out? When are you going to put them back in? When have they recovered their oxygen levels? I have all that information.
Yep.
And information is power. Information is money, right? So now you put me on the field. I'll be eating Cheetos if sitting on the line of scrimmage while the whole game is going on around me.
You'll be eating crisps and sacking quarterbacks. It'll be a dream come true. So this is it.
But you're saying you want to also include the physical experience of getting hit, and So does a person pay extra for that?
Well, the answer to that is simply yes. You pay extra for anything like that. It's a yes. But that's it, Niels. You see, the thing is, this is where we take the show. And as I referenced before, only StarTalk will do this. Only StarTalk will think this way towards the subject matter. Yeah.
Yes.
And so this is why we're re-releasing this particular show from 2 years ago to stand on the shoulders of this big game, but to give our audience an understanding of the environment they're in that will sit nicely next to the performances, hopefully, of the players.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So good work there, Gary. And I look forward to checking out the episode again. Today's topic, modern stadium design and the tech that informs it. So who do I have here? I've got Ben Brillat. Did I pronounce that right?
You did. Thank you.
Ben, welcome.
Thanks very much.
You work for IBM?
I do.
You design stadiums? Wait, you got a title here. Global Chief Architect for Sports and Entertainment Services.
Yes.
That's a lot of syllables to say you design stadiums.
Well, I design technology for stadiums.
Oh, excuse me.
Yes.
Right. Yes.
Yes. I don't want to cause any fights.
Yeah.
technology
Okay.
for
All right.
stadiums, Yeah.
So we'll get back to you in a minute. Gary,
Yes.
always good.
Yeah, good to be here.
Gary O'Reilly. Chuck,
Hey.
you're my people.
Yes,
You're my
that's
sports
correct.
people.
Yeah.
my sports people. So recently I visited the SoFi Stadium just outside of Los Angeles.
Absolutely.
They're in the middle of building it.
Yep.
And I'm looking at the numbers at $5 billion.
Wow.
Since when did stadiums
numbers.
cost that much?
Big
Dude.
numbers.
Recently.
Recently? No, since when?
Exactly.
Since 20 minutes ago?
Just saying.
70,000 seats.
Yep.
Opening summer 2020. And it didn't look like they're going to be.
You're saying they're not making it.
I'm
That's
saying.
what you're saying.
I was there.
Right.
I flew over it. It didn't look like. But anyhow,
Talk to the unions.
I'll tell you this much: they better be ready by August of 2020 because they already said goodbye to the old stadium last year.
Yeah, otherwise they're playing
for the football teams.
They're playing pickup game in the
Right.
parking lot.
Oh, that'd be hilarious,
Wouldn't it?
Oh my God! Just like you could tailgate and watch the game at the same time.
And be in it.
Right.
And be in it. Hey, you missed it. Take it back.
Right. Little help. Yeah, that's great.
So that stadium houses the LA Rams and the Chargers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, Ben, so let me just get a little more. We'll get back to that. I got footage of me visiting it. But Ben, how long has IBM had such a thing?
IBM engagement started really with the Atlanta Olympics in the 90s.
Oh wow!
Ooh, okay.
You guys been in the space
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
in
So-
that space for a while.
So you were the chief technology architect for the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, but that was way after the Olympics.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
So,
they didn't have
totally different design.
They didn't have the benefit of your brilliance.
No, although some of the fiber infrastructure actually ended up being reused.
Okay.
Oh really? You mean recycled and reused, or
Nope. It was still there, still good.
and you just actually okay? Well, way to save them some money.
So how are you combining this sports and tech at IBM? Because in these stadiums where big muscle football players play, it don't look like you have ever played football in your life.
No, I have not. I don't want to.
So how do you land in that pot?
Yeah. So IBM is approaching technology in stadiums really from two sides. The first is sort of the digital, where we're doing AI programs and how can we help coaches make better decisions about players? How can we
the game
analyze
itself.
Yep. How can we analyze data, be able to take a coach and put them virtually after the game in a VR room standing next to their player and say, can I understand better why he missed that or why he made that? Can I watch this from a 3D perspective? Things
Why not
like
put
that.
him in during the game?
Well,
Wouldn't that be cool?
That-
you have a holographic coach on the field.
Right.
yep.
I think
so
that tech is almost around now. You can virtually, with only a few seconds delay, you can put someone back into the space
Yeah.
and analyze that play almost real time.
And that's where I come in, actually, is that the limitation now is the technology and the data bandwidth available on the field. How can we get enough antennas, enough kinds of radios to be able to move that information from the field to the stadium
In real time
in real time?
to make real time decisions.
Exactly. And so I'm involved in all of the physical infrastructure, the antennas, the cell phone radios, the Wi-Fi access points, the security cameras, all of the physical tech that makes the digital tech possible.
So I just got to tell you, that I'm really feeling good listening to you because I led a geeky life, but it was early enough in the geek timetable that we all not I because I was bigger than others, but most of my geek friends all got beat up by the football players.
Right.
Okay. Until the football players needed the geeks to help them with their computer homework.
There you go.
Okay.
Right.
So the balance of power changed. And so now you are enabling professional sports.
Absolutely.
And now you are like a patron saint of what enables them to do what they do. You have sports people as your protectors.
Yeah, I mean, we want that data. We want them healthy. We want to know where they were. We want to know that predictive insights into injuries.
That means he's never gotten a wedgie.
That's
Well, that may
I
be
mean, you
true
bring a
or may
football
not be
player-
true. However, this isn't the show to explore that. It's the one thought that's crystallized in my
I'm just saying,
mind.
all my people got wedgies
right
coming
exactly.
out.
I think what Neil is saying is before you leave here,
I mean,
yeah, just watch yourself.
I got a linebacker on speed dial.
There you go.
All right,
But that is a
that's
cool
good.
thing because you can just be like, yo, bro, one line of code and I can make it so that you.
One
One line of code, bro.
Oh, that'd be a
you're
great
done.
name of a company. One line of code.
One line of code.
Oh, man.
Makes all the difference.
Wait, so at what point are you brought in? So I'm rich and I want to build a stadium. At what point do I call you?
The earlier, the better.
Right.
So we started in Atlanta when it was still a hole in the ground, literally still there, because the technology, particularly as we start to talk about, of course, Atlanta's a 4G stadium, but as we look at 5G,
Damn.
more and more antennas means more and more wires to the antennas.
That's right.
And so we actually have to bury conduit in the concrete before it even gets poured. So you have to have a design for that ready to go right from day
With enough
zero.
conduit to future-proof it.
Okay,
Yes.
Why not Wi-Fi this thing? Save on the wires.
So all of that Wi-Fi
It's still
means
bandwidth.
more and more
More and more
access points.
right.
And every access point. So while it's Wi-Fi to your handheld device, the access point in the ceiling needed a wire. That smoke detector in the ceiling needed a wire. You have to get the more.
There's a wire somewhere.
That's right.
For me. That's my answer.
That's
Thank
right. In fact, the more mobile devices, the more wires behind the scenes.
you. So in fact, wireless is just nah.
It's a distance
Yes.
description.
So we got some footage of me at the SoFi Stadium
Right.
outside of Los Angeles. The LA, the Chargers and the Rams
Correct.
both will play there.
That's right.
In obviously unless they
Not
play
on the
each
same
other.
day.
Unless they play each other.
Right.
Unless they play each other.
There you go.
Then they do play on the same day in the same stadium.
Yep.
That'd be kind of cool. I'll go to that game.
You'll go like it. All
Yeah.
right. So I visited it, and one thing I couldn't help notice is just the enormous roof. A lot of thought went into that roof. So let's check out this high-tech roof. What is that transparent roof made of?
It's called an ETFE system,
How transparent is it?
about 60%, from what I understand.
Oh, so what you're saying is it'll block out about 60% of sunlight that could come in.
That's what I
Either
understand.
reflect it
Yeah,
or
yes.
do something else with it.
That's correct.
Okay.
So those are 60-foot by 60-foot grid areas.
I see 'em.
And then what we do is we build that frame on the ground outside the building. And as we load this diaphragm in place, we go ahead and put those in and we pull the ETFE system over time.
How long does it stay transparent?
It'll stay transparent from the time we finish the project on.
Not as long as birds poop on it. You got a
Well,
way to clean that off?
There is a way to clean it.
How
There's-
you do that?
And they'll
Now,
go up
look,
there.
I don't see any way anybody's going up there to clean bird poop.
There is access up there, and there is a gutter system up there to go ahead and allow for washing down and also
Oh,
for
so you
rain.
can hose it off.
That's one thing we can do as far as the birds though, is also use a falconer. So you can actually have falcons that come around here to keep birds away. Does that help? I'm
very-
trying to be
that's-
as smart as this man.
That's very National Geographic,
Yes,
right?
yes.
All right. You glad you turned up for this show? Yes. Yeah. All right. So there's a little insight. I want to say window, but I've done it now. Onto what's going on in this 21st century stadium. What else could we build into a roof like that? Because that's a massive expanse.
And by roof, he means bird toilet.
Yeah. So I mean, are we going to have solar panels? Because California, I think every new construction has to have solar panels.
Thank God.
Can we use it like a TV screen? Can we project things out? What could we do to play with this and make it just more than just a roof?
I mean, you'd love to, right? The technology for solar panels. I mean, the problem is the weight today, right? Can you make it light enough to be able to cover the surface and still have it span that enormous distance, which it now spans? We've moved from stadiums where you used to have, limited sight view seats to stadiums where there's no such thing in the entire place because these roof materials have gotten so light that now everyone can see from everywhere. So the more technology you want to put up there, of course, the heavier it is. We actually had
But just to be
problems-
clear, heavier roofs require more structures to hold it up that would block your view.
potentially.
A light roof, you don't have to hold up the roof.
Yeah, you can stand further away.
Stand
from it,
further
yeah.
away. So that's what you meant
Fulcrum.
when you.
Yeah.
Okay, I was just trying to follow that. Okay,
So
go
it
on.
becomes a span.
Exactly. So how much distance are you trying to span? How light do you need that material to be in order to make the span so that you don't have a blocked view?
How does a roof like that affect what you would be able to do in the stadium?
It's interesting. The in Atlanta, and presumably they'll have the same problem in Los Angeles as well. The fact that these materials are now plastics, if we look at an older building, like if we're in the lower levels here, concrete, rebar, iron, the RF energy of the city,
Radio frequency.
yes, the radio,
To be clear.
doesn't make it into your basement here, right? Whereas when you build out of these new materials, these hyper thin plastics, transparent materials, one of the challenges we're actually having is that all of the RF energy of the city is penetrating into the building now. So,
And you don't want that.
Does that create interference?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. How can you deliver cell service to 80,000 people sitting in a space which need low signal strength because they're not that far from the antenna?
But wouldn't you want to not provide them cell service? Wouldn't you want to block their cell service and provide them your own particular frequency? Because then you can determine what they're going to watch, see, hear, and how they're going to interact with the stadium and other people, because you're the puppeteer electronically at that point.
Absolutely.
Damn,
Absolutely.
Chuck.
That's
Who do you work for? What are you? Are you an IBM operative? On the,
Captain Verizon.
well, sounds like you work for a DAS company, a distributed antenna system, which is the local cellular system in a stadium. And the problem with that is we want to run our DAS in a stadium and not have it leak out into the city and not have the city leak in. So these new materials are really creating challenges in how we can do that successfully.
can't you put wires in it and turn it into a Faraday cage?
Yeah, you could. But
You know
again,
about Faraday cages?
Please, we would like to know about a Faraday cage.
It has nothing to do with prisons or anything.
Oh, thank gosh.
Faraday is credited with this. So if you have something that conducts electricity, like wire or any kind of metal, and you surround yourself in it, then electromagnetic energy cannot penetrate that surface because it tries to get through and it gets conducted into the surface and it never goes inside. And for example, you can walk out in a lightning storm and if you're surrounded by one of these cages, lightning will hit, it will never go inside your bubble.
And the aliens can't read your thoughts.
That too. Hence the aluminum foil hat.
Exactly. It's just nothing more than an aluminum foil hat. That's really what it is.
That's exactly what it is. Okay, sorry, go on.
Yeah.
Pick it up.
So with these new materials, it's just become very difficult to create the separation that we need to deliver that kind of service. So that's meaning new antenna designs, new antenna placements, more antennas. In fact, in Atlanta, we have a first-of-a-kind deployment of the cellular phone antennas are actually under the seats in the upper levels of the stadium.
Wow.
Because what we want is very low signal power to only go a few meters to the nearby seats.
And it sterilizes your gonads.
Well,
I don't feel a little warm right now. What am I doing? Oh, that's so that you get strong signal.
Right.
Don't you want that?
Ticket sales have just gone down in Atlanta.
we did a lot of testing. Yeah, a lot of engineering went into making that work.
Another interesting fact that we don't think about much here on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, it is in every design point. What do you do about earthquakes?
Ooh.
Can you earthquake-proof a stadium?
Yes.
So at the SoFi tour that I took, I had to ask him about it. Let's check it out.
This bowl structure is a separate element to the roof structure.
All right.
And it's separated by what's called an MSE wall, mechanical stabilized earth wall. So it's panels that go in. So if you're to walk through the rest of the stadium, you go to a back area that has about 12 foot of gap in between so that this stadium can change.
It can move independently.
It can move independently. And then the blade columns support the roof structure that actually go to butterfly caps and struts and to dead men, and that acts independently with isolators at the top that can move up to 81 inches.
So you can sustain an earthquake, it sounds like.
Yes, we can.
That's code for the stadium can shake and bake.
It can shake and bake.
It's got a little bit of movement to it.
It does.
And you got it.
And you wouldn't even know, because as you walk in, we have a moat lid. So there is a moat that goes all the way around that most people don't know.
A moat.
A moat.
M-O-A-T.
M-O-A-T.
With crocodiles.
Exactly. It could be. It could.
Because, I mean, the history of learning about earthquakes and other sort of issues is you don't want movement over here to have to be felt in the rest of the structure.
No.
Right? Because that could take down the whole structure.
Correct.
So everything can have some independence.
Right.
And then it just lives as almost an organic element.
And you have these
almost like these cut lines. Right?
Yes, expansions.
Yeah. The usual. That'd be thermal expansions and things.
Right.
Or- So, Ben, you working in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta just a few years ago, did they have to put in any sort of disaster proofing? If not earthquake, some other kind of protection?
I mean, it has to be built for the environment that it's in, right? So Atlanta is a very wet, very windy place. The movable roof is there because Atlanta has quite a lot of days when it's rainy. So
They can't play football in the rain anymore. In my day, you couldn't even see the gridiron. That's how much snow would be on the field, and they'd still play.
Right. How many fans were there?
I don't know. But
It's
in my
about the
day,
fans. The
In my
fans
day,
don't
we
wanna
played
sit there.
football with a baseball bat. That's right. That's how tough it was.
all right, sorry. Continue.
I know you're not apologizing to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
So all of the facilities are instrumented throughout. So within the roof, within the columns that support it, the structural steel, the structural concrete, there's instrumentation throughout all of it, which today is more wires that we have to bring to be able to measure the stresses that are on a given piece of steel.
When you say instrumentation, you mean diagnostic tools.
Absolutely.
So you always know the structural health of your facility.
Yeah. So in Atlanta, there are pedals that open and close to move the roof, and you want to know the health of the pedal system. So all of that is instrumented so that you know that it's in balance and all of the motors are operating correctly.
Okay, so you wouldn't be taken by surprise
Exactly.
if anything was about to fail.
Yep.
Thinking about what you said about footballers can't play in this rain, da. So when you or someone like you is involved in design in a stadium, who are you looking to please? The owners, the coaches, the players, the fans, yourself,
Why
all
would
of the
that be?
above?
Why would that be mutually exclusive?
No, I'm just wondering, is there, the owner says, I want it done this way, and the owner's the guy with the paycheck, therefore the owner gets what it wants, or is there...
Even if that might conflict with something else.
Correct.
Got it.
So,
I think it starts with the fans, right? Because
they're
it's
paying.
That's right.
They're paying the owners.
They're right. They are
The owner
source
works for
of-
the fans.
That's
That's
right.
right. They're the source of revenue for everything else that comes after it. And what you want to deliver is a great experience for them. And with stadiums, huge stadiums, they're getting bigger, they're getting more complex because you have to compete with the fact that it's not that expensive to buy an 85-inch television with
That's what I did.
4K Ultra HD
Yep.
That's what I
and
did.
put it in your man cave.
That's what I did.
All right, hey man,
Paul-
you're working against yourself there, Ben.
That's what I did.
no, that's got to be the thought process of every owner.
Yeah. How do we get you out?
How do we get
want
you out of the
your
house? Right on.
Well, you can give crappier television coverage. So I missed that. We got to be at the game.
That's true.
We're going to show the replay only at the game.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Well, we want to do both, right? We want to have you have fun on the days you can make it, have fun on the days you can't make it. You want to have everything bringing together best possible experience. But the stadium itself is really competing for that. Let me get you out of your house in Atlanta or in Los Angeles to come in to the stadium.
We got to take a quick break. When we come back, more on the innovative designs of modern stadiums on StarTalk Sports Edition. StarTalk, we're back. StarTalk Sports Edition. Gary O'Reilly,
Hey, yep,
former footballer.
apparently.
You keep telling yourself that.
Yeah.
Chuck,
Yes.
who do we have here? Ben
Brillat.
Brillat.
Thanks.
None of us even knew that such a person as you existed. The tech, geeky person who empowers modern stadiums to do and be what they need to be to satisfy the fans, the owners, the players, all of the above.
The great and wonderful Oz of stadiums.
That's
Well,
what that is.
That's what you are, man.
That's what that is.
I mean, we hope it's that way, right? We don't want to be too noticed, right?
Man.
Right on.
So, as you know, we're featuring my footage from my visit to the SoFi Stadium under construction
They're not even built.
outside of Los Angeles. It's great because one of the landing routes and takeoff routes from LAX goes right over the stadium. So you just look out the window there. It's very cool.
That is
That's
cool.
why I know it didn't look like they'd be ready when they said they'd be ready. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. But
A lot of late nights coming up.
there's the exterior design, but there's also what's going on the inside. And as you said, the user experience comes first. That resonates with what I learned from the designers of this stadium. Let's check it out. So what is the Oculus?
So the Oculus is actually the TV screens and/or scoreboards, everything that will be announced.
The world's largest scoreboard.
Yeah.
And where's it going? Is it going to be in the middle or somewhere else?
No, it actually follows the line of all this. So right where that green box is, that hydraulic box, imagine about 8 feet away from that, we start building sections of it, and we start building section and we stack sections on it.
Such as this one too, on this side as well?
All the way around the entire bowl. And then we go ahead and put a strand jack similar to this assembly up here, and we introduce load and we pull down, it pulls on the roof. It weighs 2 million pounds when it's completed with components. We assemble it here, we commission it here, and we take it all the way up.
And you hoist it up.
And we hoist it up. So when you're standing on level 8, you see that guy there in the yellow?
Yeah,
so that's level 8, and then level 9 above, you'll actually be staring right out at that Oculus.
Got it.
So you're going to have those types of seats in those
But you can still see the field.
Still see the field.
So that was access for the cheap seats.
The cheap
helping
seats.
those guys out. Yeah.
It seems to be there's an arms race with stadiums now for the world's biggest, like jumbotron or span screen.
Jumbotron, that's so 80s, dude.
I know. I haven't been to a game in a long time. Can you tell?
Absolutely. I mean, Atlanta's the current record holder, so they're
trying to beat Atlanta.
Absolutely.
Over at SoFi.
Yep.
Oh, see, he's like, you see him?
You
feel it.
That's right.
His face got a little red.
Up a little bit.
Yeah, he got a little buff.
little chest beating going on right there. I got you. So now this will definitely be the world's largest screen or fan screen in the world after it's done.
Yeah, so the new Oculus here has screen
here
services.
in SoFi.
In SoFi has screen services on both sides of the circle. So it's not just a single ring. There's display elements on both sides of the circle that's hanging down.
Ooh, so it's a double-sided
It's inside,
screen.
outside. It's a Kandinsky painting of jumbo screens. Oh.
Kandinsky, man, he's
He's on something today.
Man, Jack.
So
I don't know who said that.
all right, let's play the game here. What other tech could you introduce to improve something like this Oculus? What could then take it to another level? Because this seems, as Chuck says, a bit of an arms race.
Yeah. I mean, the holy grail really is to have VR players on the field, right?
Oh, my.
Projected augmented reality more than VR, really.
Yeah.
But augmented reality players projected onto the field. We're still some ways away from that.
But what would I don't
that
get
would
it.
be so cool.
I don't get it. What
So
would you
check
do?
it out. So an instant.
I asked him, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So
Who am I?
I know who you're
Are
interviewing
you there?
here.
Do you work for IBM? No.
well, I mean, let's just take this example. If you are an Atlanta fan and your team is playing in Los Angeles, you want to be able to go to Atlanta and watch that game on that
the
field in front of you in your home
As a matter of
stadium.
fact, they do that now.
Oh, so I could be in the field. They don't see me, but they run through me.
Well, you could have that, maybe. You could also have just an away game played at home.
Right.
You could have.
So like they have viewing parties now for the playoffs.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
your team goes to another city, right?
So you all put on VR and you're all in their
And now
stadium.
you're in,
their place.
but you're in your
But in your
stadium
stadium.
watching the game on your
hot
field.
dogs.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing, as a stadium owner, you gotta love this because that means everybody's got to buy hot dogs and
That's true.
and their soft drinks.
That's true. And they're not watching on the 85-inch
and not
flat
watching.
panel.
They're actually watching the field, just like a
Okay.
regular
Give
game.
them a reason to get out of home.
Give
and
another
come
reason
to
to
the
get out of
stadium.
the house.
No, get out of home and go to the bar and put on your.
Because the truth is, actually, Neil makes a really good point. The truth is, if you bring that technology to a stadium, it will only be a very short period of time before bar owners bring that technology to their venue.
They get a miniature version.
A
of the
miniature
stadium,
version,
right,
and then
baby?
basically you'll be
More
watching.
work for me.
You think that works for you too?
No, he said more work for him.
More work for he's like, hey, guess what? I'm good. Right.
Wait, so is that real? Is that? I mean, we're really going there?
Not yet. The display projection
Because I think with
technology is the
Pokemon,
problem.
Pokemon Go,
That's right.
Yeah.
if they can just show up in places.
So we could do it today with looking through your phone, right? But that's not the best
No, it's
experience.
not.
You want to be able to look at it in a seamless way. So there's a couple of barriers, one of which we're about to solve with 5G, which is the ability to get that data out of the field real time, recording what they're really called voxels, the volumetric image data, so that you can project from any
This
position.
is a three-dimensional pixel.
Three-dimensional pixel and get that out of the current stadium. So 5G will help with that. Where we're falling a little short still is in the display technology. So right now you need something like maybe Google Glass.
Right. I was going to say
an augmented reality display to look at it. Eventually we'll be able to project it in fog or something like that. You know, that technology is still a ways off. But I mean, they're working on it.
Man, that is so cool. I mean, like,
How big
but in a way, though, but let's
let's
let's play this out just for a second now. Because see, if I'm an NFL player and I'm smart, and I hear you say what you just said, you're no longer my friend that helps me. You are now my competition, and now we go back to where jocks beat the hell out of geeks. Okay? Because
the biggest regressive.
Exactly.
All right.
Because let's be honest, what you just said there is one step away. Instead of an augmented reality, which is basically the real-time transmission of data, to why do I need that? I'll just create the data myself and transmit it so that you're seeing a game that is really an algorithm that, even though it may be predetermined, it's still a game that happens, right? And you can watch football. Nobody gets hurt. It's AI football.
Isn't that just John Madden football?
AI football.
No, it's not John Madden, because see, John Madden, you're playing, whereas this would be an indeterminate algorithm that so none of the outcomes are predetermined, and you would see a real game.
Well, so one thing about, if you do your integrations well and beautifully, often people won't notice it. It'll be a seamless part of their experience. So I talked about what's going on that might be hidden, or what might be part of the visitor experience that they might not be thinking about, yet they benefit from it at SoFi Stadium. Check it out.
Cool.
In modern times, football teams keep track of their players with high-tech monitoring systems and GPS, how far they've moved. Will there be any sort of high-tech sensor systems that can be invoked at field level?
It's actually not GPS based, it's RF based.
Okay.
So we have a ring of basically sensors around. So when the players walk out of the dressing room, they have a chip in their pads that gets turned on basically when they exit the locker room. And then within the playing surface, basically, they track the movements. They can then figure out things like velocity and top speed and all.
Right.
So
but that's not unique to the stadium. If everyone has a chip in the modern NFL,
the league basically mandates that system, and
plus for the health and well-being of the players too, right?
You can track how far they run, how fast they run, how much they're on field, etc.
That means you can also measure how fast they decelerate in a block.
Yeah.
Like you're running, and I can run at you, and I got your speed. All of a sudden, bam! You go from 20 miles an hour to 0 in
a meter or whatever.
Right. So Ben, why are they using RF technology if 5G is basically available?
So it depends, what is that sensor trying to accomplish? So on a high school field, you have GPS. You're out in the air. You can see the satellites. The GPS trackers will fit in their pads.
More importantly, the GPS satellites can see you.
The GPS, no, but that's okay. And indoors, now you have, again, the roof, which is blocking those signals. You need to provide some sort of local system that can now provide that location data.
Okay.
So
5G is not a local system.
Well, 5G is a local system, and
even within the stadium, local?
Absolutely. To that technology of DAS that I mentioned earlier, we have to build our own 5G network inside of a stadium to meet the density of people who are there. 80,000 devices we might even call 160,000 if you got a watch and a phone, right? Devices in a small space. Now you need dedicated electronics, dedicated antennas and radios just for that stadium by itself. But that tracking versus making phone calls, all different kinds of 5G that are starting to come to life. And the density, the number of devices as we look at IoT, and really those sensors are IoT, is just going to balloon as
what IoT stands for?
Internet of Things. So
that's what that abbreviates?
Yes.
Internet of Things.
Yes.
Things should never be abbreviated. That word
it's
not important
I was
enough.
like this. Thanks for clearing it up.
So,
Internet of stuff, I don't know what it is.
as I sit here and listen to you explain that, Ben, I'm looking at my cell phone is dating and out of date within 2 years.
Yeah.
7G.
So how do we future-proof? What's coming that we can do that you're going to be able to jump on and utilize?
Yeah.
Yeah. How about 7G, 8G, 10G?
It'll all be there.
Right.
The way that we future-proof in our architecture is we say we don't have a crystal ball. The only thing we can do is put more pathways for more antennas. Make sure that you have the ability to put, today you have one antenna in this room, tomorrow you have two, 4 years from now you have 4 or 5.
I got to interrupt you. Okay. And Back to the Future 2, which took place in 2015 or 16, I forgot, somewhere in our past right now. Back when it was made, people had fax machines. Okay, that was the thing. Oh, that's cool. That's how you send. So they imagined in that distant future that households would have multiple fax machines. Okay.
Of course.
So when Marty was fired from his job, it was sent to him by fax, and every fax machine in his house, out came the thing, you're fired. And you say, wow, that's the future.
Right.
We'll have more than one fax machine. So isn't that a little bit short-sighted to say, let's just put more of what we already have?
No, we're not so much putting more. We're putting more capability. Just the path. We don't know what kind of cable will go in it. We don't know what kind of antenna will be there.
So you assume it needs a path.
You need to have a spot to put it, right? And that's becoming particularly challenging because architects also want their stadiums to be beautiful, right? You want to experience the technology, but not have to see it. So you need to really design in from day zero the ability to put all of this electronics there and be able to hide it.
Tell me about helmet cams. That would be another. It would be interesting just to monitor helmet concussion, the forces that operate on a helmet.
Yep.
You should be able to do that. If my iPhone can measure accelerations no matter what I'm doing, a helmet could do that too.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, but not only that, just point of view cameras. Like, suppose I'm going to experience a game as a fan, and I can just flick on, let me see what the quarterback is looking at. Let me see what the center. Let me see what the wide receiver. And that's their camera. How about that?
So with 5G, we will be able to do that, especially in a sport like football where you have a lot of room to put the heavier batteries and the camera sensors, things like that.
Well, then this is too heavy.
But
Well, that's a baseball player.
right. But
As a soccer player.
the good news,
You guys, when you get clipped on the side,
That's it.
I can't get up.
The weight's too much.
I'm falling. I can't get up. You soccer players, what the hell is wrong with y'all?
well, we got good news
We're
for
precious.
We got good news for soccer, football.
Have you?
Is that
Is
with
my team going to win?
well, with the 3D volumetric pixel imaging, it's now possible computationally to recreate any view from an array of, say, 32 cameras around the stadium.
This is like bullet time.
Yeah.
Like in the Matrix,
exactly.
where you can get any camera angle.
And just,
So you, as a viewer, could pick, you wouldn't even have to be limited to a specific helmet cam. You could pick the view right in between the two helmets and have that computed for you dynamically from the images that are already taken.
That's pretty wild.
Ooh, that's bad. That's
liking that.
that's badass right there.
See, now, once again, it seems like you're working. Okay, so this would be see, that's something that you want to keep to an in-stadium experience, right? Because to be able to come and look on your phone and see a completely different game than you're actually watching on the field.
Right, why be limited to some cameraman who's parked on some spot on the sideline?
You can actually curate your own game in real time as you're sitting there. Let me see that replay. You know, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you could end up, with Twitch-style re-edits of...
We got to take a break. Can you hang around for like the third segment?
Absolutely.
Because normally we just sort of, chew the fat, but I want to chew the fat with you in the room.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
All right. This is StarTalk Sports Edition. We'll be right back. We're back. StarTalk. We have a special guest brought in from central Pennsylvania, where this dude lives. Nobody's out there.
Well, no, he's here.
He was the only one there. Now he's here. Ben Brillat. Now, thanks for hanging out. Normally we just sort of chew the fat this segment, but I want you there.
Thanks.
While we chew the fat.
Sounds good.
Yes.
There we go. All right.
We are.
So I'm curious about something. I'm looking at the rate at which stadium design is changing, and that always tells me things. It says if the rate is changing rapidly now, we can praise any newly opened stadium, but if the rate is fast, it means in 5 years that's going to be an old stadium.
Just like technology itself.
Technology itself.
Yeah.
You're actually
So how you feel about this?
I mean, it's good news for me, right? The more tech
Job
changes,
security.
Job security.
Yeah.
But now, do you build that into your design?
Yeah,
because
well, he said he future-proofs by putting conduits and places where you would put stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's capitalization terms for all of these things. You want to be sure you get your money's worth out of it. You need to be able to,
Especially when it's $5 billion worth of your money.
yeah.
But go ahead.
But it is a big challenge. What can you do? How far into that crystal ball can you see? And we make our best attempts at it, but sometimes
Gary, reflections.
Okay, so we touched on augmented reality. Now, I'm just thinking, if we really throw it a long way away, do we actually need stadiums? Because you're going to sit there with your VR goggles, and I'll give you an immersive suit so as you can actually feel the hits yourself while you're sat there.
That's too much.
Right? Well, you can dial it up.
That's too
It
much.
just depends. You dial it up or you dial it down.
Oh, dial it down. Yeah.
So
Can I dial it down to a relaxing massage?
Yeah, if you want.
It's -3 instead of positive.
We're talking about we got to get people out of their homes. We need to, our competition isn't this. It's getting people away from their TV sets and into the arena. But is it just going to come down to let's save the money and put it all into the fan experience?
You'd think that would have happened with video gaming, but what has actually happened is that e-gaming is now become
a spectator sport.
Spectator sport segment.
Absolutely.
Watching other people play their e-game.
But in a stadium. You go to a stadium to watch on the big screen video games get played.
It's true.
Don't look at me like that. It's not me doing it.
We're all sitting in this room looking at each other the same way.
It's like,
what the hell is wrong with these people?
What?
But it's a huge thing.
Is that Gen X? Is that Gen Y? Is that millennials? Let's get to the bottom of this.
Yeah, it is.
Who's doing this?
The under 25 segment.
It is, yeah. My son is totally into it, and I was completely...
He's 12.
And I was completely against it until I found out that these so-called e-athletes, many of them have 7-figure deals.
Yep.
And now he gets home, and I'm just like, better get upstairs and play that video game.
Get those thumbs.
Get those thumbs moving, boy. What's your problem?
Don't read a book.
That's right. Are you reading? Oh my God, are you reading?
What the hell is wrong with you?
Reaction time.
Right. So, yeah.
Are fans the whole thing here now? Are we stadiums were built to honor the gladiators and the athletes. Now we are seeing a shift away to the fan, the spectator, the person who provides the income as being the point of view that is the most interesting. Where can we take that? Where can IBM, where can the stadium builders and architects of the future take that?
Yeah, I mean, the fans, what we're trying to do with technology is deliver a better game through improved insights into how the players are moving, their physiomechanics, the
That's a word.
coaching calls.
Physiomechanics?
I hope so. I
Okay.
just said it.
Okay, I like learning new words.
Works for me.
Okay, all right.
And help the coaches to be able to make the best decisions that they can, help the players to be able to get the most that they can out of their own body, to put it into an ever more entertaining game, right? So I think everybody is benefiting. We talk about the greatest players of 60 years ago versus, sort of your mid-tier players today. The mid-tier player had so much more information available to them to help them train exactly the right muscle, rest on exactly the right rest day. The level of play is just going up, up, up.
All right, so let me ask you this. With that in mind, talking about the fan, let's talk about the owner for a second, because here's the way I'm thinking. I spent all this money. I got this high-tech stadium. How am I going to make even more money off of all of this 5G capable technology?
Yeah, what's the business model?
Where's the business model?
How's the money come back into his pocket?
I need that money to come back to me.
Yeah.
So am I going to be charged to see certain replays that nobody else can see? Or, what? Because no
what
fan...
kind of paywall are you going to put up?
There's no fan experience that's complete without an owner saying, nah, you don't have to pay for that.
All of that is possible, right? You can have premium subscriber level features. You can have entry features. You can have features you can only get if you are actually there. That happens today a lot because of TV licensing agreements. We can do more when you're physically in the stadium than we can outside.
Can I give an example of that? A really lame but heartfelt example. When I was 9, we went to the Bronx Zoo, and we were very frugal as a family. I saw other rich kids. They could buy the elephant key. There's a plastic key, and the elephant nose sticks out. And at every cage, back when animals were in cages, there was an information recording, and you put the key in and turn it, and you get a narration about the animal.
Right, but you had to buy that.
You had to buy the key.
Right.
And we didn't buy the key.
So I
So
would just stand next to the rich kid.
listen. So
Mommy, why does this black kid keep following me everywhere? I'm sorry.
I felt I didn't feel like I was a part of the experience,
Right.
and it didn't feel good to me, even though we had paid admission to the zoo itself. It was I felt left out.
Yeah.
Just because I couldn't afford it. And that was a visitor experience in 1968, 67 that was its version of what you're describing.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
picking up on your elephant key analogy.
By the way, I still own that elephant key. Just want you to know.
For real.
Well,
For
good.
real. I'll bring it in.
You
Well,
did
yeah.
get one.
The elephant in the room, the elephant in the room or the stadium, gambling. When you've got all of this ability to stream and do stuff,
Oh my
There's a
God.
lot of money.
pop. Yeah?
So now you're
There's
talking
more
about
money
There's
gambling,
more money gambling than
all the
any
rest
of it.
Than any of it.
Oh my God, Gary, you are brilliant. How do we get in on this right now? Because I'm telling you,
shut off the cameras. We'll find out.
Let me tell you something. Real-time betting while you're in a stadium, that's a money maker.
Shake
Yeah.
it.
It happens a lot more overseas than it does here. We have stronger laws.
Anti-gambling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but if I've spent $5 billion to create my stadium entertainment palace, I'll be pushing really hard to get the gambling laws changed in the state of which
Oh, without a doubt.
for sure.
Every state, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing data that comes just for fantasy football, right? So fantasy football, fantasy baseball, the decision-making data that's available to you for your own fantasy league would probably knock the socks off of a coach from 1955
Right.
to have access to the kind of information that you're.
No, 1975, 1985. What kind of data they have?
So going back to your point of what else happens, how does the owner, the owner, make money? I put a massive big complex of theaters, show movies. I have shopping malls.
I was about to say that. Why aren't stadiums, when we were about to come out of it, why don't stadiums have multiple use built into? It's like the stadium sits empty for most of the time.
This is the whole deal with SoFi. I
Well,
think
SoFi.
SoFi is a great example.
Okay, all right. So SoFi. So in a professional football schedule today, it's 16 games if you don't go into the playoffs. Correct.
Right.
Okay. So most pure football stadiums are used 16 weekends out of 52. Period. Then I noticed 10 years ago, 20 years, they tried to turn them into conferencing centers and things, get a little extra money on the side, but still, what are you doing?
Hold
Yeah.
your
Rock
event
concert.
here.
Maybe hold a rock concert, okay?
Yep.
But still, you're in a stadium, right? So with SoFi, it has 2 teams interlaced. So now it's 32 weekends.
Yep.
That's way better than 16 out of 52. But still, you got another 20 weekends when nothing's happening.
Yep.
Is the business model so lucrative that you can go unused for 20 weekends?
No, you need to drive that attendance up and the use of your facility. So in Atlanta, they have also Atlanta United, the MLS
Is Atlanta your
soccer team.
Mercedes
Yes.
facility?
Yeah.
So the Atlanta United MLS soccer team has games that are played there also.
Your
so
people.
that
My
has
people.
really driven up. Really driven up the usage of the building. And
Then
then
you get all the immigrants come in, they get something to watch, right?
Right.
Because all the immigrants play soccer.
Absolutely.
Every last one of them.
they've put 70,000 fans in the Atlanta
easily,
Stadium
yeah.
for MLS soccer.
Wow.
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a huge draw.
And not an American
it's
among
a huge draw.
There's more.
I'm just kidding.
don't-
No, but in a way, you're right. When
No.
the World Cup is on and you walk around
It
Manhattan,
is people so indifferent to it.
it's like people don't care. And then you look in every bar and it is filled to the brim.
Right.
You know,
Uh-huh.
and none of them are American.
Actually, Atlanta's culture is changing with the Atlanta United, actually.
Yeah.
The Atlanta United are driving fans into that sport. sport at a rate that is
Sweet.
just crazy. Yeah, I mean, you walk by bars in Atlanta, and there is an Atlanta United flag. There are kids going to it.
Fantastic.
Atlanta
Okay.
games.
All right. So
really
America
driving up.
might come around on this.
Yeah.
The soccer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're getting there.
Right.
But I think the footprint of the SoFi Stadium, I think, is greater than Disneyland.
Yeah.
Well,
In the
including parking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you for what?
It's
Well,
this
what-
multi-use
what
district.
for?
Yeah.
What else is there? What else is
No,
in that stadium?
they're building in the multiplex movie
Hotels.
theaters.
Oh,
They're
hotel-
building the
everything.
hotels,
Okay.
the
Shopping.
shopping.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
what you mean.
So the
So it's a
idea
campus.
is
It's a
right.
campus.
It's
Yes.
to make it a destination
Yep.
area. The
Yeah.
area
Absolutely.
becomes a destination. Gotcha.
That's
And then the
point.
game is just one other thing you do.
One
Yep,
more thing.
something to do that you can walk to. Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, cool.
Because there's a finite amount of people that can go and watch a game, but they want to come and enjoy the experience. So you will build fan parks
Yeah.
outside.
I have an obscure, geeky, science-y comment,
Okay.
if I may.
I'm ready.
Okay. If you're charging a battery, either an electric car or any kind of rechargeable battery, if it's dead and you start charging it, like the first 20% happens very quickly. And then as the battery gets more and more charged, the rate at which it reaches the top gets slower and slower and slower. So that last 5% takes almost as long as the previous, all the time it took to get to that 95%. Okay. Do you know why?
No.
Okay.
I'm about to find out.
The analogy is a stadium parking lot. Because in a dead battery, you have all these electrons in the wrong place. Okay, they done served you. Now you got to punch them back so that they can serve you again. They got to swim upstream and they got to park on the other side of that battery. But they can only park in pre-designated places.
Oh, so
So if you're the first electron upstream, you park anywhere.
I'm by the door. Yay!
So in a stadium, if I'm early at the stadium, I can park anywhere. I can park within seconds.
Yep.
The later I come, even if there is a parking spot for me, it'll take me longer to find it. So that when the parking spot is almost entirely full and only 5 slots left, it could take me a half hour to find a parking spot. I have to look for those spots. That's why it takes longer to charge the last part of a battery than the first part, because of the parking lot problem.
Yeah.
Have you solved the parking problems?
Yeah, we have
Oh.
smart parking systems.
Smart parking.
So yeah, and it turns
Assigned
out
parking?
Well,
Predetermined assigned
we
parking?
have assigned parking predetermined. We also have smart parking systems. If you've been like in Heathrow Airport, with red and green lights over every single parking spot, so you can look down a hallway and see if there's a green light.
Oh,
What
so there are no
is-
hidden spots.
Yeah, signs that tell you how many are left on each level. Turns out this is a huge source of pollution in cities too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
there's companies
People
working
driving around. But
Right.
not just in parking lots, period.
Yeah.
In every metroplex.
Driving around looking
I
around
heard
parking.
something like 80% of all cars that are in motion that are not taxis are looking for parking.
Yeah, so this company's trying to solve this now to be able to help you. There's some new deployments out in Europe of smart parking systems in cities so that you can know
I
where
like
to
the
go.
fact that you could just see it above all the cars, and the green one
That's
is right
brilliant.
there.
Yep.
And you're not
And
getting,
simple.
that's some little car that's hidden behind the
Exactly.
SUV.
Yeah,
Yes,
or
well,
motors-
it's by the
Don't
way-
you get angry when that happens?
I always
Yeah.
flatten their tires.
Yeah.
So now, how many people are now looking for a space and there's only one green light?
No, then no.
Oh, we
And
meter,
then
we
they
meter
all
the entry
converge
too.
on the same
Yeah.
space. This is
lights
like-
break out. Right. How fast can you drive up
See,
to
this
that
is
spot?
LA, so Larry David's going to be there. You know that.
Larry David
You know he's
of-
going to be there in his little electric car.
of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
can actually using cameras, we can actually follow your car
Right.
through the parking garage and provide you individually appropriate signage at every turn for where you should go to go.
smart signs.
Can you
Smart
talk to the
signs.
car like turn left, you idiot?
Well, you can change
No,
the
just tell the
sign
car,
that they
car
can read.
talk
Yeah.
to the thing, and I'm going to sit back.
And
Yeah.
that, you know, that's exactly
Yeah.
that's where it's
Let the
actually
car park
going.
its own
Let the
damn
car
self.
park its own.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that is
I'm watching
super
the game.
cool.
You park yourself.
Yeah.
All right, so final thoughts. Chuck, what do you have?
You know, I'm going to go to a game and probably be disappointed because none of the cool crap we're talking about is going to be there.
It's not yet.
It's not happening
But
yet.
he'll call. Get his phone number. He'll call you.
Exactly.
Absolutely. We'll go
Yeah.
together.
Gary.
I think it's great. I think it's brilliant because everybody wins. The players are going to win. The coaches, IBM could become the best football coach ever, right? All the biodata, all the telemetrics, all the players are going to win, and the fans are going to get a better experience. So it's a win-win-win. Brilliant.
Yeah. What thoughts do you have at night before you go to sleep about all this?
I want to make sure that my son, when he goes to he's 4 now, when he goes to a game, that he will be able to have the experience that he is imagining when he gets there. So his world already, he can talk to the house, right? And have the lights turn on. He can type because he just talks to his computer. The information in the world is at his fingertips. 15
This your
years
4-year-old
from now,
child?
Yeah. 15 years from now, when he's there.
Your 4-year-old child's running the house with his apps.
Yeah.
Alexa,
modern
change the
4-year-old.
locks. Take that, Dad. Trying to get in the house now.
He hasn't found that command set yet, but he could.
Yeah, you better get some really good parental guidance on that.
Alexa, change the locks.
The world that he imagines is different than I can imagine, and I want him to have a great experience that keeps his attention and keeps him going. So,
Here's what I look forward to, because I think about this all the time. I like imagining tomorrow's technology for many reasons, but including the fact that if it's good enough, it will make everything I think is modern today look old.
Ooh.
So in the future, I want the technology to not even be anything you are projecting for it. I want it to benefit from innovations, may I say, out of left field.
Mm-hmm.
Something you didn't even know was on its way in, that lands in your lap technologically, and you say, oh my gosh, that's a game changer. And with that, there's a future experience for the player, the visitor, the coach, that today we can yet imagine.
Sweet.
it'd be great.
Revenue sharing.
Looking forward to it.
That's what
That's a cosmic sports perspective. Dude, thanks for coming.
Thanks very much.
Thanks for coming all this way from central Pennsylvania, which is in the middle of friggin' nowhere.
It is.
All right. Chuck, Gary,
Pleasure.
always good. I'm Neil deGrasse Tyson, your personal astrophysicist. This has been StarTalk Sports Edition. And as always, I bid you to keep looking up.